Hello, fellow early childhood professionals. Have you ever wondered what factors to consider when assessing young children from culturally and linguistically diverse backgrounds in the early childhood setting? Well, today I'm going to talk to you about 3 factors that we can consider: assessment strategies, engaging families in this assessment process, and how to organize this assessment data. I also have 2 tools that I'm going to show you that I think would be great for you to use in your early childhood program. So, first, let's talk about what we can do to help children and families feel more welcome when we are assessing them with a culturally diverse child. So, the first thing that we want to make sure is that we are respectful of the families and we're respectful of their cultural values, their home language. So, we want to make sure that we are preparing assessment tools in their home language as well as English, providing any services that they may need, interpretation services. So we want to make sure that we are creating a warm and welcoming environment for them, because everything that we do going forward is going to be based off of the relationship that we develop with that family. We also want to make sure that we are including them in this assessment process with their child. We want to make sure that we're meeting with them, calling them, talking to them about their child, acknowledging that they are the expert on their child. And to help us do this, I have developed 2 tools that I want to share with you now. So the first tool that I have created is the Early Childhood Assessment Guide. This is available on my website. You can download it. It just talks about observation, what that is, what that means for our program, different observation methods that we can use. And then it has all of the developmental screenings that we can use and what those are. And then some more things about the process of developmental screening. So when we are assessing young children, there's a few different kinds of assessments that we can use. So I'm just going to talk about a couple of them. One of my favorite is the anecdotal record keeping. I do this by taking notes, so I always have a notepad on me in the classroom so that I can observe children, and if I see something that I know I want to include in my anecdotal records later, I will make a little note to jog my memory. This is a great way for me to make sure that I am being inclusive of all children's developmental levels and including that information when I am doing my lesson plans. So I know if a child has a certain interest spark, I can include that in my future lesson plans. If a child needs help mastering a certain skill, I can also include that, create more opportunities for that to happen. Another assessment method is time sampling. So this involves observing a child's behavior during a specific time period. Another assessment that we can use is the ABC analysis. So this is a special type of anecdotal record keeping where you as the observer are looking for a targeted behavior situation. The other assessment tool that I want to advertise for you today is my Parent-Teacher Conference Toolkit. This is what we use in the Early Childhood Center that I am a director at. So these have some great tips for you to use in your parent-teacher conferences and how to be successful at conferences. I like this because it focuses on the positive first idea. So this is another relationship-based practice that would be culturally and linguistically responsive, because we want to make sure that we are going over the children's strengths and that we are sharing all this information with families. It has a developmental educational goals so that we can go over the goals with the child's family and include them in the process. We can record the individual goals. We can see what they know. And it is also has other forms that we can keep in their portfolio to continue assessments on a continual basis. And then it has a peek into your child's preschool life, which parents love this. And this is a great way to include parents on what is happening with their child in the classroom and really include them in making those goals for their child's learning and development. So this is a great tool that I think would be super useful in your early childhood program. So again, involving families in this assessment process is really the best practice, and it is culturally and linguistically responsive because we want families to feel a part of their child's education. We want to reaffirm to them that they are the experts, make them feel welcome in our program, let them know that we care about their child as well. When they know that we care and that we have a shared common goal, they are going to be more responsive to being involved in their children's learning and development. There are a couple different ways that we can do this to promote family engagement in our assessment process. So again, the tools that I showed you are great ways to do this. So when I use that tool in my program, the child assessment, I go over the goal sheet with the parents. I ask them questions like what things that they have observed at home, what goals do they have for their child. We all know that children can sometimes act different around parents than they do with teachers. So maybe they're observing things or different skills than I am observing. So I want to make sure that I really communicate with parents and see what goals that they have for their child and get the information, as much information as I can from them. So that's one way to include them in this process. I also make sure that I am creating a welcoming environment that is culturally responsive. I'm having things like culturally diverse decor in my classroom. I'm including toys, dress-up clothes, things that are representative of different cultures in the classroom. We also have family engagement nights once a month where we encourage families to bring culturally diverse foods, music, games, things like that to make sure that we are inclusive of all children and just create a really welcoming atmosphere for all the families in our center so that they will feel comfortable talking to us if problems do arise or if we have goals that we are needing to work together to help the child meet.